Your aerobic base is the most important part of your whole training plan. Without it, the rest of your training just falls apart. And somehow there still isn't enough emphasis on how to properly build this in the running world. There's mixed and bad information out there online. So if you're thinking to yourself, what is an aerobic base? How long do I need to spend doing it? What are the benefits? And how do I avoid the mistake that most runners make? Well, I'm going to get to all of that in this video. But first, let's look at what happens when you build an inefficient aerobic base. You plateau, you overtrain, and you can't actually absorb the benefits from the interval sessions you do. So although your interval sessions may make you a lot faster, if you don't have an aerobic base, you're not going to improve from them for very long. This is why we see runners plateau after just 8 to 10 weeks. I ignored my aerobic base early in my running career, and I sometimes built one just not effectively. So it took me 3 years to go from a 1917 5K down to an 1832. Then I learned how to properly optimize an aerobic base, and I went down to 1548 in just 18 months. Hi, I'm Lewis, and I help runners smash times they never thought possible. Building the aerobic base is the most important part of doing that. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what an aerobic base is, how you should build one with examples, how most runners actually mess it up, and how to build one that keeps you improving again and again and again. First, it's time to admit that you are probably in need of a proper aerobic base. 90% of runners are aerobically undertrained and anaerobically overtrained. If you're wondering to yourself, am I one of these runners who needs to build their aerobic base right now? Ask yourself these questions. Am I able to run fast in training, but I can't translate that into fast race times? Do I struggle to recover fully between sessions and between reps? Do easy runs quite often feel like an absolute drag? And do I often plateau? If the answer is yes to any of those, then you're likely in need of a properly optimized aerobic base. Otherwise, the next steps are overtraining, injury, and just inconsistent progress. By the way, if you're still questioning whether you need to build your aerobic base right now, there's a link in the description to a quiz which tells you exactly what's holding you back from running faster. Free to do, links in the description. Look at your aerobic base like your engine. This is what we developed first. Here we're focused on oxygen efficiency, fat metabolism, and developing you into a runner who can absorb the benefits from a lot of hard training. But first you need to understand something. When you run slow, it's easy. When you run fast, it's hard because lactate starts to build up in your muscles because there's not enough oxygen getting to your muscles. Now, during your aerobic base, we're going to make your body super efficient with oxygen, increase the amount of oxygen your red blood cells can carry, increase your red blood cell count, increase your lung capacity, and decrease the amount of oxygen your muscles need to run at the same pace. Without this, you just don't get the consistent improvements. So how long does it actually take to develop your aerobic base? I often see running plans online that say 4 weeks base training at the start. Don't buy them. Don't listen to them. You need a minimum, I mean a minimum of 8 weeks. But more is better. The longer you spend here, the better the result at the end of your plan. Oftentimes a good amount is 12 weeks. But again, more, better. You'll start to notice you're ready for the next phase of training when your heart rate decreases a lot, your recovery improves insanely, not only between sessions but between reps, and your threshold pace is improving nicely. Patience is key, don't rush here. Now, how do we actually build your aerobic base? It's a bit of old thinking where people think it's just a load of easy miles and we need to move away from that. The bulk of your mileage should be easy because we need to improve your fat metabolism and get that volume in. However, another point of the aerobic base is to improve your lactic threshold. So we need to be training at a variety of aerobic paces. So we need a bit of sub-threshold work in there and a bit of threshold work on top of it. You also need a good long run each week. Now the key here is we want to be able to stack weeks on top of each other consistently. No good having hero one-off sessions to try and build your base stronger and faster. So then you're just going to need a deload week the next week and that creates inconsistency. The best runners train in an optimal training load and don't need these deload weeks. There's 2 main mistakes that runners make when building an aerobic base. They add intervals into their aerobic base, which slows down aerobic development, and they don't focus on improving their speed during their aerobic base. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, how do I improve my speed if I'm not doing intervals? There's 2 answers. Strides, which is just 15-second really fast efforts that you add to the end of your warm-ups or your easy runs. The other one's hills. Now, for hills during a base phase, we keep these short. These aren't uphill interval sessions, they're very short mechanical reps. We're focused on developing your running form, your speed, and your strength. During your aerobic base, we're focused on developing the things that take longer to actually develop. So your aerobic capacity, your lactic threshold, your raw speed, your strength, and your running form. They take long to develop. Things that develop quite quickly are things like your speed endurance, which research literally shows us the improvements plateau after just 8 to 12 weeks. So we add that on after. Now hills are going to help us with some of this. like the speed, like the strength, like the running form. Let's get into an example week for a runner who's running 5 days per week. They're having Wednesday and Saturday off. They start Monday with a 30-minute easy run, then 4 times 15-second strides. Tuesday is going to be their tempo run. For the first 6 weeks of their plan, they're doing sub-threshold. For the last 6 weeks of their base phase, they're doing threshold. Thursday is going to be a 45-minute nice easy run, with 6 times 15-second strides added on to the end. Friday are going to be hill repeats, things like 20 to 40-second reps. Then Sunday is your long run. That's covered all of your aerobic base. If you want to learn how to optimize all your training from your aerobic base onwards, I've got a structuring training course in the link in my description that teaches you everything. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.